Welcome to This Explainer. You know, we're breaking down 3 harrowing, completely true accounts of late-night snack runs that escalated into sheer terror. We've dug into 3 first-hand accounts that prove, honestly, sometimes the scariest monsters aren't hiding under your bed. They're just ordinary people roaming the fluorescent-lit aisles of a convenience store. So let's dive right in and see how these perfectly mundane situations spiraled into absolute life-or-death nightmares. The central question we're tackling today is this. What actually happens when a totally mundane late-night snack run turns into a fight for your very life? We're going to explore this through 3 distinct, honestly terrifying encounters. All right, moving into part 1, The Protector, a Slurpee run gone terribly wrong. Okay, picture this. It's just an ordinary Thursday evening. A mother and her young daughter pop into a 7-Eleven for a Slurpee. Pretty standard, right? But there's a man in a dirty hoodie slowly pacing the hallway, stopping every few seconds just to stare at them. Out of nowhere, he corners the young girl right by the freezers and says, "What's your name, sweetheart?" I mean, the moment he spoke that chilling phrase, it's like all the air was completely sucked out of the room. The mom immediately steps between them, shouting at the guy to back off because, she's literally just a child. And the man? He just smirks. He actually blames the girl for getting boys' attention. Unbelievable. The mother immediately alerted the staff, forcing this guy to leave in a total rage. But the terror didn't stop inside the store. As they walked out into the empty parking lot, these hidden hands just shot out from behind a parked black van, grabbing the young girl in mere seconds. Her mother instantly intercepted, without a second of hesitation. Moments later, the attacker is delivering these devastating, brutal punches right to the mother's face. He's actively trying to drag the girl into the open sliding door of this van. But then suddenly, a car pulls up. The approaching headlights completely startled him, blinding him just long enough to force him to flee the scene alone. The aftermath here is just intense. The mother suffered a nose broken in 2 places, severe cheekbone bruising, and needed multiple stitches above her lip. But she fought like someone with absolutely nothing to lose. She essentially became a human tug-of-war rope, just refusing to let go of her daughter. And because of that incredible sacrifice, her daughter was saved from a serial kidnapper. Get this, police actually caught the guy 3 days later, and he was living out of that exact same black van, just chilling. Now for part 2, The Bizarre, a 12:40 a.m. craving. This next one is a deeply surreal nightmare. It starts with a husband whose 8-month pregnant wife, Bailey, wakes him up at 12:40 in the morning. She's got those very specific midnight cravings. Potato chips, a couple of donuts, and some sweet and sour candies. Wanting to be a supportive partner, he throws on his hoodie, hops on his bike, and rides down the street to the brightly lit 7-Eleven to fulfill this totally simple request. He even grabs a pack of cigarettes for himself on the way out. Now, because Bailey hated the smell of smoke, he stepped outside to this designated smoking area right by the dumpsters. The overhead light had been broken for months, so this corner was cast in deep, deep darkness. And there was this overwhelming smell, not just your standard garbage smell, but actual rot, like decay. As he's leaning against the wall, he hears these muffled, agonizing, shaking sobs of a grown man coming from the darkest corner. Naturally, he turns on his phone's flashlight, thinking, maybe this guy needs help. But the beam reveals a truly terrifying sight. There's this massive man, we're talking at least 7 feet tall, in dirty, torn clothes, and the left side of his face is just raw, red, completely torn open. As the husband watches in frozen shock, this towering man lifts a trembling hand, digs his dirty fingernails into his own ruined cheek, peels off a piece of his own flesh, and calmly chews it. Suddenly, that horrifying smell of rot made total nauseating sense. Yeah, the narrator immediately bolted, but in his sheer panic, he trips on the curb, smashing his chin so hard into the pavement that he literally saw white flashes. Bleeding heavily now, he manages to reach his bike. His hands are trembling so bad he's struggling with the engine, all while these heavy, bare footsteps are rushing up right behind him. The engine finally catches, but right as he speeds away, this massive man leans in incredibly close and spits a thick wad of warm blood directly onto the side of his face. The guy lets out this broken, choked laugh as the husband just vanishes into the night. Absolutely terrifying. Moving right along to part 3, The Deception, the cry for help. This final account operates a lot like a tense psychological thriller, mostly because it's built entirely on misdirection. Here's the setup. A man pulls over to grab an energy drink to fight off highway fatigue.
Just as he closes the fridge door, he hears this frantic whisper right behind him. Please, help me. Don't let him see me. He turns around and finds a 15-year-old girl ducking behind the snack shelves. Her eyes are wide, her mascara is completely smeared all over her cheeks from crying, and she looks absolutely terrified. Literally a moment later, the door chime rings, and a man in a dark hoodie walks into the store, aggressively scanning the aisles.
Convinced he's protecting a young victim from a predator, the narrator bravely steps up to act as a human shield. He yells at the cashier to dial 911 immediately. The man in the hoodie approaches them, hands out, practically begging the narrator to let him talk to the girl, claiming she needs to come with him. But the girl is trembling so violently behind the narrator's jacket that he absolutely refuses to budge. He aggressively orders the man to back off and wait for the authorities. What followed was a highly volatile standoff. The narrator said it was easily the longest 4 minutes of his entire life. When the police cars finally flew into the parking lot, the narrator felt this massive wave of relief. But then, the officers didn't even look at the man in the hoodie. Instead, they bypassed him entirely, rushed right behind the counter, and violently arrested the 15-year-old girl. The reality of the situation was a complete inversion of what the narrator, and probably you, believed. Turns out, the 15-year-old girl wasn't a victim at all. She was actually a suspect who had brutally stabbed a woman earlier that exact same day. And the man everyone thought was a monster? He was her exhausted, grieving father. He'd been desperately searching the streets for her since 7 a.m. As the police dragged her away, she's screaming these vile curses at him while he just stands there crying, begging her for forgiveness. The father actually turned to the narrator and thanked him. He thanked him for keeping his dangerous daughter in one place so she couldn't hurt anyone else. It's just a wild twist. And that leaves us with a pretty chilling, lingering thought. The narrator fully thought he was a hero, only to realize he had been physically shielding a violent criminal. So it really makes you wonder, next time someone frantically asks you for help in the dead of night, will you really know if you're protecting the victim or the monster? Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and seriously, stay safe out there.